there was a career healing or something. And I got that feedback from Neha that you started getting international student, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. 2 months back. Yeah, I actually went to the Philippines and then I went on a solo trip to Singapore right after. So end of January, about
So these
I
are
was
not
traveling
work
for
trip. Okay, I thought.
no,
Okay.
financial problems as well. And because I was in the same boat and I now know that what Reiki can do, I will definitely recommend Reiki. And the only thing that I tell them is that you don't need to understand now because Reiki is just energy system, right? It's not like maths that I can explain the problem to you. You have to experience the results, and I just tell them just give it a shot.
Also learned Reiki from Sanjukta, and there are some modality you was practicing by your own self. I'll still
Yes.
remember that because that was quite a long back. I talked to you, and there was a different kind of a conversation we had. You were absolutely a different person that time, and I
Yeah.
still remember after probably there was a career healing or something. And I got that feedback from Neha that you started getting international student, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So that
Right.
made us happy too. If anybody is getting that kind of result,
Yes.
that's very very encouraging to us. Even probably you were traveling in between the.
Yeah, recently, 2 months back, yeah, I actually went to the Philippines and then I went on a solo trip to Singapore right after. So end of January, about
So these
I
are
was
not
traveling
work
for
trip. Okay, I
no,
thought.
no,
Okay,
no, no.
okay,
These are these
that's
are
great.
these are personal trips.
Okay, get it. At this condition, the kind of result you experienced, if anybody close to you, probably your friends, your family, anybody is have any kind of suffering which is not an usual suffering.
Actually, this has happened. I had recommended two people close to me who were experiencing prolonged issues, mental health problems, and then
Mhm.
financial problems as well. And because I was in the same boat, and I now know that what Reiki can do, I had recommended them, and actually both of them had gotten a tarot session with Sanjukta ma'am,
Okay.
and they were very impressed. By the way, will be open to Reiki, but I know for a fact that if I see people or if people come to me sharing their troubles, and if it's a prolonged trouble, uh, and some problems that are really, sometimes we face problems that we don't even create, it's just there
Mhm.
from in our lives, right? So
Absolutely.
if I see people with those kind of problems, I will definitely recommend Reiki. And the only thing that I tell them is that you don't need to understand now because Reiki is just energy system, right? It's not like maths that I can explain the problem to you. You have to experience the results, and I just tell them just give it a shot. And that's how I approached Reiki for the very first time. I was like, I've done so many things for so many years. Let me just take this as an experiment. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's fine. It will be a learning. But then it worked, and when it worked, you start getting the faith on that. So that's how I approach Reiki, and that's how I will recommend anybody. And usually what happens is that the main push that I have to give is just getting the tarot session from Sanjukta ma'am. Once they get in touch with ma'am, she is magical. So then some magic happens, I guess. And they are convinced, and I feel that if there's anybody who genuinely wants to overcome a problem, he or she will try Reiki out, even if that person has no clue about Reiki. Like when I did, I had no clue about Reiki. It was just a term I heard. Okay, but I had no clue about it. And now because I've learned a little bit about it, I know what Reiki is.
As we're discussing about tarot, you ever done a tarot session with anybody else apart from Sanjukta?
I went to a palmist, but I had never done a tarot session, a personal one-on-one tarot session actually. So it was my first tarot session was with
It
ma'am,
would have
with
been
Sanjukta.
good if you taken sessions from others so that I can understand. Like, uh, that's a very general feedback from each and every individual who done the tarot session with Sanjukta.
Hmm.
Every time they say like it is different, but where?
I'll
But
tell you the difference that I felt
oh,
between
tell me.
palmistry and tarot reading. Between palmistry and tarot reading. In palmistry, you know that all they say is basically they will check all the mounts, like Venus and all of that, and they'll check your lines, and they'll give a very generalized prediction. Okay, so for example, if somebody told me that you will have money problems until and they say things like you have money problems, you will have money problems forever. So they try to scare you a lot, and they don't give you solutions. But when ma'am told me that you have money problems right now because this is the cause, you have probably some ancestral karma or some generational curses, which is affecting your root chakra, which is creating the blockage in money. And then the healing was also, it's like, if you take this healing, it will get cured. So I got a more scientific approach, okay? And the purpose was not to scare me. Ma'am just informed me. This is what I like a lot about tarot, and the fact that it works with your current energy. Like right now, if I get a tarot session done, I hope all good things will come out, okay? But then if your energies are not that great, then tarot also reflects that. So it's not like you were born 30 years ago and then they'll check your star positions. It's not astrology or palmistry. So I feel that tarot is more accurate. And with Reiki, and also at point I used to wear gemstones as well, because that palmist recommended some. It's not that those gemstones didn't give me, healing. It did solve some problems, but momentarily. After a point, it stopped working. Because, if you have karmic patterns, if you have ancestral karma, you need to cure that. Just wearing 100 stones won't help you, right? So, that's when Reiki helped. Now the problem is not there, so I'm happy.
I'll be asking you the last thing about your couple of classes from Sanjukta. So what would be your take on that? Like, why that process she follows for teaching is different from other teachers in the field of energy?
Yes, I'll give you a little bit of background before that. I had never had any plans of learning Reiki. Okay. I thought I was not the kind of person meant for Reiki. I thought it was about the sadhus that you see on mountaintops. I thought they are meant for these things. Then something happened 2024 November, December. I got psychic attacks, black magic, and that some of my very close family members did it on me, and that happened. And then ma'am did that. I don't know what that Reiki is exactly called. I think some black magic protection
Magic
or
Reiki.
something like magic Reiki, something like that, to shield
Magic
me and
Reiki
stuff.
is being performed for black magic.
So ma'am did that, and on the in the feedback audio, actually, Sanjukta ma'am recommended me that why don't you learn it? And if I've learned one thing in my life, is that when Sanjukta ma'am gives me a recommendation or a feedback, I follow it blindly. Okay, I try my best to follow her feedback. So she recommended it to me, and it was December end last year. So then I was very nervous, because I thought that you need to be some kind of very spiritual person, with the great abilities to, imbibe that. But then, because ma'am had a lot of faith in me, and then I had a long conversation with Neha ma'am, and she explained that, you can do it, just try out one session. And because of their collective push, I actually enrolled for the level 1 course. When I joined the class, and then I had a lot of questions. But one thing about Sanjukta ma'am is that she simplifies the concepts very easily. Like, she had to explain me in layman terms, like what is Reiki, okay, what is energy. And then I had 1,000 questions once my attunement was done. Okay, ma'am, I asked her, what did you do? Okay, what is attunement? Okay, and she explained that. She literally broke down every concept, which has made my learning easier. And she loves doing it. She's meant for this, right? She's a healer. She's meant for this. And then I remember when my attunement was done and I had my day 1 of practice, I invoked Reiki and I could feel those tingling sensations on the palm of my hands. I was surprised. I felt like a Superman or something like that. I was like, how is this even possible? The energy is right there for our use and we don't even know it. Like, this is what I tell ma'am a lot of times. So many people go through their lives suffering. They do all kinds of things. But if just people had a little more knowledge about Reiki, so many lives could be saved, right? And one thing about ma'am is that she's very patient, and by now she knows that I have a lot of questions. So what she says is that you make a list, and before every class she addresses the questions. She really takes the time. I know that given the stage ma'am is, probably some of my questions might appear very silly. Okay, but she never made me feel that. She's very patient as a person, and she has a very healing motherly vibe. So she makes the classes very interesting. And of course, then learning is one part of it. The other part is daily practice. So far, I have learned Usui Reiki level 1 and 2, Karuna Reiki, and Angel Healing. That's also something ma'am recommended to me. Because I'll tell you again another short incident. So when I was practicing level 2, Usui Reiki level 2, suddenly I was getting students, right? And I'll tell you the name of the students that I got. One student's name was Michelangelo. The other's name was Angel. And then it happened back to back, okay? 1 week. The other name was Angeline, Baiko something. and another student's name was Angelica. And I noticed a pattern. I was like, what is happening? Why am I getting so many angels around me? And then I told ma'am that, ma'am, I'm just getting everywhere I go, it's like Michael, angel, 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 everything. So ma'am said that, why don't you do angel healing? You can do it at any time, and probably angels want to connect with you. And even when I went on my trip to the Philippines, I literally sensed Michael's presence there, because I was just passing by a church, and I saw a big statue of Archangel Michael. Okay, in that, okay, and I was like, this is why I was feeling like I need to go back. And probably Michael was calling me, and I saw that. So these things have happened consecutively without me understanding really. So when I talked about it to ma'am said that angels want to communicate with you, they want to help you. Why don't you learn it? And that's it. Ma'am said I learned. So that's how I work right now. Whatever instructions ma'am gives me about Reiki practice, I try and do that. If I have questions, I ask ma'am, and if ma'am recommends something, that we should do this, that we should do that, I just do it. Yeah? And I'm happy, I'm blessed, I'm just so lucky to have connected with Rainbow Miracle. That's also something that I was having a chat with Neha ma'am the other day, and she told me that it's not always that people get connected to the right people at the right time. There are so many people who just do this as a business just to exploit people, and I'm sure we know of many organizations that do it, but you guys are so genuine, and that's why I think you guys just keep growing and growing. I'm very lucky to have connected with Rainbow Miracle at the right time. I didn't have to, like, there was just one promise that I went to, but then apart from that, I didn't get tricked as such. People lose a lot of money in these things.
Kind of anybody can do it, because there is no regulations. You can scare somebody, you can take money out of anybody. But if you want to sustain in this field of energy healing, the genuine you are, it makes your life easier, your work easier. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you
absolutely.
so much for all your time. Quite a long session we had. So
No, sir, I loved every minute of it. Thank you so much for connecting with me.
bye bye.
Thank
Take care. Take
Bye
care.
bye, sir.
Feel
Good
good.
night. Bye bye.
Tata.